Hello and welcome to today's video. Silverspot Trading, your buying agent for high quality products from Asia. Today I'm going to go with you into the process of manufacturing and actually a very, very important part that I think most of the buyers that don't have that much experience fall into. And this could be very expensive for you and very painful. What do I mean? Today we're going to talk about packaging. Packaging is an essential part of your order, of your price, of the process of manufacturing. Why? When you negotiate with the price with a factory, what we normally do, we already come up with a certain standard that the factory knows, okay, this company, they have this kind of standard, so my price is accordingly. But if you never worked with a factory before, and it's the first time you work with them, let's assume they offer you a very, very attractive price comparing to other ones. So just take an example, this kind of mug. Let's say you would pay $4 or $5 for this kind of tiki mug from stoneware material in the factory in China. And all of a sudden you find a factory that's going to offer you for like $250. You're going to be like, wow, that's an extremely low price. You know, all the other ones are like $350, $4, $450, depending on the packaging and everything. But the price is very, very attractive. So what's happening is that many suppliers and many manufacturers in China, they cut down the price to be able to win the client, okay? And once they win the client, they're saving their cost on everything. So they're reducing the quality control, they're reducing the packaging thickness, they're reducing the pallets, they're reducing the delivery time, they're reducing everything to be able that they're still going to make money, because when they offer you a bottom price and you accept the order, okay, they think like, okay, now we have this price, but our margin is so small because there's obviously cost of raw material and labor, which they cannot go down. And if they work on such a small margin, it's a big risk for them. So what I wanted to talk today is about the packaging. So let's say you would buy this product for, let's say, I don't know, $3, $4, $5, yeah? Then you would ship it to Europe. You will pay very expensive price on the transport, and then you're gonna pay the price for the import tax. Now, because this is ceramic materials, we have also anti-dumping fees on them, which is stoneware has got 12% import tax, and additionally you have anti-dumping fees for 35.9% additional taxes, anti-dumping. So it's very expensive. And then you have the shipping from the port to your warehouse. So this product is going to come to you in the end around $7, all right? How painful would it be if you order 10,000 pieces and 2,000 pieces are broken, okay? This is not the same $3 you paid in the factory, because in the factory everything was good. Your quality control inspection was tip-top, but the shipping was the biggest issue. Then you're going to have an argument with the transport insurance, and they're going to come and tell you, yeah, but the packaging you ship it is very thin, you should mark for it, blah, blah, blah. Make your life easy. Pay attention to the details. When you're negotiating with a factory, you must make sure that it's according to your standard, which means when the factory is trying to save cost, they will give you this kind of box in this kind of really, really thin paper. This is maybe, how much is it? It's a 2.15 millimeter. It's got 2 ply. It's very thin, okay? This is when your stuff is going to break. What we do is we make sure that our standards, we have certain standards. So for the export carton, we're using around 0.9 to 1 centimeter thick. This is like 7 ply. Ply is like a layer. So you have a layer, then you have this kind of wave in between, then another layer, then another wave. If you can come closer, maybe you can see what exactly I mean about the thickness of this. Yeah, this is very, very important. So this one's actually what we use for the inner carton. For the outer carton, it's another 2 ply additionally. We are demanding that's going to be like that. Why? Because the process, this goes from the factory, it goes to the port of the forwarder, to the warehouse of the forwarder. The forwarder packs it and put it on pallets or inside a container, and then it goes into the port. From the port, it goes in the boat. From the boat, it goes to the port of destination. We're in Germany, so let's say Hamburg. And in Hamburg, it's going to be offloaded from the container, go to another warehouse, and from the warehouse, going to go into another truck, which probably going to deliver to your warehouse. So this product is going to have around 10, 15 people touching the boxes all the time. And, you know, people, transport company are not all the time paying attention. how fragile these things are. So it has to do with the marking, which is very important, to written fragile all over it, and to make sure that the export carton is very thick, and on top of it, the inner carton. Now, if you're generally dealing with ceramic, my advice to you is to go with styrofoam. And I'll give you an example. Styrofoam is this. It's very big, but it is very safe. So when you open it, it comes two parts, and then you can see that this kind of piece comes perfectly fine for you. Why? Because this is a very expensive piece. This is hand painted. It's around $20, $25 buying purchase price. If you break 50 pieces of this, very painful. So if you're dealing with ceramic, Styrofoam is the way for you. I would really recommend it. The downside of it that it's very big, it's very chunky, it takes a lot of space, especially when the transport is very expensive, so people trying to cut down the cost on it. So it doesn't need necessarily to be this kind of big Styrofoam. You can also make Styrofoam for 2 or 3 parts inside to save the cost. But important part is don't compromise on the thickness of the packaging, all right? When you negotiate with the factory, from the beginning, tell them, I need to have 1 centimeter thick export carton with shipping marks on them. I need the inner carton to be 0.3, 0.5 millimeter thickness, so it's going to be a bit more solid, you know, because this product is going to go through such a long process, such a long ride from the other side of the world, and it's all cost a lot of money. So you might score a very good price in the factory, but if you're not paying attention to the packaging and how your goods are going to be delivered, it's going to be painful, it's going to be expensive, and there's going to be a struggle between you and the factory. Even if you have a transport insurance, you know, there's a certain standard. They can come and say, listen, it's not our problem that you ship it in this really thin paper. Obviously, it's been going to be broken along the way. So pay attention to the packaging is very, very essential for you and very, very important. Don't think all the time about the price, okay? Even if a factory offers you another few cents extra to be able to make sure, ask them to see pictures of past production, how they ship the pallets, how they wrap the goods. This is very important because if you don't pay attention to it, painful, expensive, and not nice. So hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned. We will keep you informed. Thank you.